This is a 190 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff attorney Mr. Perez, capital P-E-R-E-Z. Defense attorney Mr. Lang, capital L-A-N-G-E. And we'll start with defense attorney. Ready? Here we go. All right, and just after dark at that time of year would have been 5:30. Yeah, all right, so when that was going on and it was raining, the vehicle was untinted, uncovered, yes, and you didn't stay, you testified you did not stay with the Camry that entire time. You were at the scene, you moved around to different locations, right? That is right. Your partner, Mr. Lynch, is that how it's pronounced? It's pronounced many ways. I say Lynch, he says Lynch. Lynch, okay, does Mr. Lynch also have field response training? Yes, he does. Does he also have training in collection of evidence? I believe he does. He's been at the lab much longer than I have. He's been on field response much longer than I have. All right, I don't know the extent of his training. In fact, his responsibilities are more field response than yours typically are, right? No, he's a toxicologist normally. Oh, I see. So the way it works for field response is they take different people from different units who are willing, all right. Anybody ask you to go in Chris Sanders' house that first night, October 3rd? I don't believe so. You and your partner, Mr. Lynch, would certainly have been a qualified evidence collection team to go into Mr. Sanders' house, wouldn't you, that night? Yes. This is Saturday, October 3rd, right? Yes. And so there's no reason why Mr. Frank couldn't have used you and Mr. Lynch to search Mr. Sanders' house on Saturday night instead of the people that he did use, right? He could have. And you actually have a master's degree, right? Yes. Okay, and years of experience as a crime lab field response analyst, right? Yes. And instead, Mr. Frank had you going around and taking photos and looking through garbage, isn't that right? Objection, argumentative, sustained to the form of the question. In any event, no one asked you to go into Mr. Sanders' house or garage that first night, October 3, 2002. That's true. And while it was raining very hard, you couldn't do much outside, right? We were basically waiting for the wrecker crew and trailer to arrive. So you had time to kill, and rather than use you to search Mr. Sanders' house, they directed you to a golf cart, right? Yes. And I think there was something, there were some barrels, right? Yes. And by the way, that golf cart, I just want to make it clear, that was in a completely different building. You mentioned a shed or something. Yes. Business building. Yes. And these dark stains that you found, you did test and they proved not to be blood, right? Right. Sometimes on something that may be reddish brown in color, may look to the human eye as possible blood, but when you later test it with one of your tests, you find out otherwise, right? That's right. And that happened a number of times in this case. Yes, it did. And when you went back to the scene with the wrecker after that was completed around 8:30, I think you said, yes, Mr. Frank told you that your services weren't needed anymore for that night, right? It was right after, but yes, sometime around 8:45. He didn't tell you that there was a search ongoing right that moment in Mr. Sanders' house, did he? I didn't know that. Didn't ask you to go assist the people that he selected to do the search of Mr. Sanders' house, did he? No, he didn't ask that. Okay, and you certainly would have been available, right? You testified to that? Yes. You also mentioned that when you got to the area of the Camry, there were some other officers or other people around. Yes, but you don't know what the circumstances of the access to that Camry was before you arrived on the scene, right? No, I don't. That's not something in your knowledge, so you don't know really what, if anything, happened to that Camry before you arrived at 4:15 or so. That's right. Okay, now Sunday, October 4th. Is when you arrived. You went all the way back to Westfield the prior night, and it's about a 4-hour drive. Is that right? It's about a 3.5-hour drive, but the drive back, due to the reaction of the trailer, we weren't able to go over 50 miles per hour. Okay, so it took closer to 4.5 hours to get back. All right, but actually I'm on Sunday now when you were coming back, okay? So you drove up and you got back to the Sanders junkyard about 3:15 or 3:30, you said, yes. And there were 3 areas that they wanted you to look at when you first got there, right? That's right. And none of those 3 when you first arrived included Mr. Sanders' house or the detached garage. next to Mr. Sanders' house, did it? No. Instead, they sent you off to this gravel pit. I don't know what you want to call it, to the east of Sanders Road, right? Yes. I don't know if we have a photo of that layout. Maybe we could identify where this is. Council, do you know if you have one of these areas? I don't know what you are asking for. An aerial photo far enough out to show this east of the Sanders Road area. Actually, let me see the book. Maybe 86, Council? I don't think 86 goes out far enough, but we could try that. Let's see. How about 85? Put that one up, or even better, 91. 91 shows it, I think. 91 is a diagram. 91 is a I will show you. All right, we have got exhibit 91 on the screen. If you could just orient yourself for a moment with that, if you can. Okay, I have got it. Is this the gravel pit that you were first sent to on this photo? Yes. Could you please point at it with the pointer? It was right about in here. Okay, record should reflect left side, upper left corner of the screen is being pointed at, and it's looks like a whole excavated block almost. Yes, it was a quarry. Your Honor, if counsel is willing, I believe it will be, or we could stipulate that it will be identified as Michael's gravel pit. Michaels, M-I-C-H-E-L-S. I believe that's right. That's fine. Parties agree? Yes. Very well. All right, and then at this, there was some searcher had apparently been there before, because there was it an orange flag or something, right? And you began working that, and you found something did test positive for blood of some sort, right? Yes. Again, you didn't know whether it was animal or human, right? And to your knowledge, did that, whatever you found over there, then have anything at all to do with this case? I don't know what happened to that sample after I collected it. Okay, so you don't know whether that turned out to be flesh and blood that had anything to do with this case or not? No, I don't. Okay, well, we'll deal with it later then. Then you also, after you had finished those 3 tasks, the other 2 being searching 2 other vehicles nearby where the Camry was, is that right? Well, the 3 tasks they had in mind for us when we arrived weren't the 3 tasks we actually completed that day. Okay, so you didn't actually do the vehicles that day. We did do the vehicles, all right. We did the gravel pit, then we went into Chris Sanders' house, and then we did the vehicles. So the 3rd task being the barrels, you didn't get to do that day, right? So instead, they called you into Mr. Sanders' house for some sort of blood spatter examination, right? Right. Now, I notice on your statement of qualifications, you actually had some blood spatter training, right? Yes. Are you one of the people that's presented by the labs to courts and juries to testify about blood spatter analysis? No, I'm not. Someone else in your lab does that? Yes, but you have general knowledge that there, as you showed before, that if someone has a cut and they flip their finger, the drops will fly off, right? Yes. And likewise, you have been to a number of homicide scenes, right? Yes. And oftentimes, blood spatter is present at the scene, yes, and there's such a thing as high velocity blood spatter, right? Yes, and that's something that's often found when someone is shot with a gun, right? Right, the speed of the bullet, without being too graphic here, but causes blood to fly off at a high velocity. When it hits a wall or ceiling or whatever, an object, it leaves a pattern, yes. All right, the word list. We have Camry, C-A-M-R-Y. Lynch, capital L-Y-N-C-H. Chris Sanders, capital C-H-R-I-S. New word, capital S-A-N-D-E-R-S. Frank, capital F-R-A-N-K. Westfield, capital W-E-S-T-F-I-E-L-D. And that is it for the word list. That will conclude our 190 Q&A practice test.